So come get some. Crumcon. Crumcon.
First world, come in and take a seat. Pay us no attention, it's all conspiracy. We have satire and parody, some funny, some perverse. If none of it's offensive to you, you'd be the first.
Fairview's coffee has mysteriously gone missing. Mayhem ensues when strange, coffee-craving zombies plague the city. Detective Mickey Potatoes, an overworked public servant, uncovers why ordinary citizens are losing their minds and how to stop the coffee apocalypse. But it involves the mafia. And when you're dealing with mafia crime families, nothing is ever easy. The mafia controls everything in the city, including the police, including him. If he breaks the mafia, they will break him. So, the city is without coffee. The city is burning before his very eyes, but he's powerless. Detective Potatoes has the power to stop the coffee apocalypse, but if he does, he could lose everything.
We're live. Hey, hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, and that means Silverline's Wednesday Wham. I'm your host, Scott Wakefield. Pardon the confusion. I may have clicked the wrong opener. We may have had an updated opener. In any case, we're glad you're here. We're very happy you're all out there. And give me a second while I move that banner off the corner of. Going to move Wednesday down to Barb. How's that? Is that okay? Is that good?
Yes, that's fine. All right.
I have it over my head right here. Hi, Roberta. Hi, Rob. Hi.
Something to lean on there, right, Barb? You just kind of lean on that. Yeah, there you go.
We are here to talk about comics, pop culture, movies, and all good things and fun things tonight. As I said, I'm your host, Scott Wakefield. I'm here with Rob Davis, Barb Kalberg, and Roberta Conroy, all giants of the comic book industry, all creating amazing craft, amazing art, amazing stories, and we have a late joiner with internet problems over there on the mountaintops of Ohio.
Yes,
holding an internet antenna up to get on the stream. We're so glad he's here. We are going to talk about something that I could probably talk about for hours, and I will try not to. Goodbye, Rory. I will try to talk about for hours, or not talk about for hours. We are talking about tabletop role-playing games, specifically those of the like Dungeons and Dragons, which will probably be a big portion of our evening. Hello again, Rory. Please stop with our hearts. We can't take this.
Sorry.
And how role-playing games essentially are collective storytelling. If you have a good dungeon master, I'll use dungeon master and game master interchangeably. I'll try to. Pardon my words will be heavy on the Dungeons and Dragons wording. I know there are many other role-playing games, but it is essentially collective storytelling guided by the god of the world, the dungeon master. But we all have some experience. I know this. Rob has played. Barb has. She'll tell us her how she has dipped her toe somehow to the knowledge of the D&D world. And Roberta, I do not know your level of knowledge or interest in this genre of gaming and pastiming.
Yeah, I guess I don't. I don't talk about it much because I don't do it much.
Okay.
But I have.
Okay.
When I was younger, I did, and I had a kind of a passive viewing of it throughout my life because my brother still plays it.
Oh, fantastic!
So it's like watching how it went down, epic battles for I don't know 6, 7, 8 hour.
Oh yeah.
Shifts, oh yeah. And I'm like I wish I could understand having that focus to be turned on in character that long. I'm truly impressed.
It can be an immersive world. It's an amazing thing, and it has shaped the video game world, the gaming world, every other role-playing game. Others have tried to replicate it, especially I speak of Dungeons and Dragons, good or bad. And there are others that do some things better, but Dungeons and Dragons is the powerhouse of the world.
It's the 600-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
Can you let my clone in?
Rory, which one do you want in?
The one that I will still be here when I leave.
So.
That's
okay.
That was
Rory, really confusing us.
Yeah.
Did you dispatch him?
Yes.
I also want to throw in. We will, and I don't know if any of you, even folks out there, it seems to be very obscure role-playing reference that I want to get into as well. A game called Hill Folk. Here's my notes for the show. A game called Hill Folk.
I haven't heard of that one.
An interesting dynamic, an interesting mechanic for the games that we'll get into. Before we get rolling too far, folks, I'm sure you've all been paying attention to the news coming out of Rochester, New York. We have up here an interesting, strong museum of play. And if you haven't heard of it, and if you're ever up in upstate or Western New York, you need to go there and check out all the. It's a museum of play, toys and games, and they have and every year they have a Video Game Hall of Fame, where they list finalists. And I wanted to get everyone's opinion here, get thoughts. I'm just now reading them. So video games, and I know we're all avid video gamers. The 2023 finalists for induction into the Strong Museum of Play's Video Game Hall of Fame are, and I have to click away so I can't see your faces really well here. We've got Age of Empires. It's alphabetical, so in no order other than alphabetical. Angry Birds, Barbie Fashion Designer.
Oh, yeah.
Call of Duty 4, that's 2007. Barbie was 96. Angry Birds is 09. Age of Empires has been around. This is 1997. Computer Space. This is 1971, the first commercial video game. Never heard of it. FIFA, soccer, they don't give the year. GoldenEye, 1997, Nintendo 64. They put The Last of Us, which is a relatively new game.
That's a good one, yeah.
NBA 2K from 1999. Quake, it debuted in 1996. Wii Sports.
I remember Quake.
Wii Sport.
Yeah.
I played that just last weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. My daughter said Wii Resort. Wizardry from 1981. I don't know that one. That's the list. That's the list. Any of those stand out as awful, or of course just why is it taking?
I've heard of Wizardry. I've never played it.
1981. GoldenEye, of course. Anybody who played video games in the 90s, GoldenEye was just life changing, life altering. I probably wasted good portions of my life at my buddy's house playing GoldenEye.
My kids played a lot of video games, so I was by osmosis.
Kind of,
because the last time I played video games, it was Frogger.
No. Okay. They have updated that for there are. It's been on other
Donkey
platforms.
Kong.
The Seinfeld episode where George has to move the Frogger console across the street is a great episode from the pizzeria, right? GoldenEye. And PlayStation 2 is where I kind of gave up on video games. Last of Us, Rory, you said
that was a good one.
Definitely a good one. Quake, I remember it's first-person shooters 3D engine. It was a new standard for the industry.
Yep.
I can't get into sports games. So check out museumofplay.org. I highly recommend it. They have an arcade in there as well, and they give you tokens with your ticket, and you can play all the ancient games. Frogger, Asteroids and Galaga and Pac-Man, all the way through.
I loved Asteroids.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah. Next documentary to watch as well, King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters. Everyone go watch that documentary. It's about a guy who plays Donkey Kong to beat the high score. Crazy story. Okay.
Does he?
I won't ruin it for you. So Museum of Play, that's in the news. So we got some hellos here from Vic.
What is that?
Hey,
Vic.
Hi.
Hello.
And intros are under repair. Okay. All right. Thank you. And Rob, question for you. You still on Boston Bomber?
I have had to set it aside. I'm getting ready for a convention this coming weekend, so everything kind of got pushed back. But it's still in progress. I have 5 pages left on the first issue, so we're getting down to the wire. So
saying love RPGs, yes. So we'll dive into these RPGs. Again, D&D is Hogan, meaning it's it reigns supreme. And we haven't Vic haven't watched the last. I haven't watched it either. Rory, did you say you started watching it or no?
Yeah, I started watching it. It's some scenes are incredible, like frame by frame with the game, and it's pretty amazingly well done.
Wow.
Yeah, I never got into the game, and I have a couple shows that I watch, and I'm still catching up on Walking Dead, and we have my wife and I have a couple shows that we watch an episode or two a night, and usually fall asleep 3/4 of the way through one, and then have to rewatch it. And
you guys couldn't even get through Lord of the Rings.
Nope.
Speaking of video games, The Last of Us is really good.
Is it good? Okay, the game is
very good. It was a game
changer. Very good.
Yes, Wii Sports Resort, best sword fighting, better, boxing,
Oh, yeah.
sword fighting, and
The
then
fencing.
just when you just the boxing too, so those are so great, and Vic saying Street Fighter 2,
Ooh.
yeah, Skyrim's good,
Skyrim's
good, and
Skyrim's good.
And Pop says, "Hey Vic, hey
Anyone
everybody,
playing-
okay." The topic of the night
Reel it.
role-playing games, specifically tabletop, not like MMO, RPGs, online, and all that. Collective storytelling that comes from role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, and how that pairs up beautifully with storytelling, with creating a story world, with creating your world and your characters, and I can't think of, other than just sitting down and as a writer, sitting down and creating characters, the collective world, the process of going through and creating your character is one of the best ways, I think, to get the creative juices going, to get that creative world building and your character creation going. And if you haven't played a role playing game, you got it. I know I'm a little young, a little late to the game, but I played AD&D. Yep, 2nd edition. Yep, you got
Did you make a figurine of yourself?
5th. What's that? Yeah. I've got 5th edition here. Dungeons and Dragons has gone through many iterations. A good, bad. 4th edition was pretty awful, in my opinion. 3 and 3.5 were odd that they came in such quick succession. Yeah, is that 4th edition, Rory? I
had the first one.
You had the it was a game changer, and so it's having a renaissance. It's having a renaissance right now, maybe a second renaissance. But everybody who played it, everybody 40 and older who played it way back, and you had to play. You were geeky and nerdy. That's like 3rd edition or 3.5, Rory.
That's
I can't tell that. I can never tell the
difference. I have
books
for 3.5 and Pathfinder. So,
but now everybody who was playing it in the basement and couldn't tell their friends, and you had to have a secret wink nod to play. Everybody's an adult now. We're all grown up, and so we're teaching. I play Sunday night with my kids, my 11-year-old up to my 18-year-old, and we have a fantastic time because you get to be something, be a character. You get to kill stuff and blow stuff up and
murder hobos.
Yeah, and you
mayhem.
Mayhem is great, and it has the mechanics for rolling dice and the enchant and attack and your skill mixed in with it. But I feel like as I got older too, I enjoyed the storytelling side of it a little more than just a straight action, which is I guess maybe not everybody likes that.
No,
I found people that have a little bit more of an analytical mind. The people that like math, they like the numbers, and they will dial in their character. For me, I like an interesting character. I like to have I love having a low number in my my stats.
In your stats?
Yeah, because it gives you that's the crutch. I can't pick a lock, or every time we're gonna sneak, I'm gonna mess it up.
Oh yeah, you're the one in plate mail.
You're the clumsy one.
Exactly. Yes, Barb.
Yeah, Barb.
This is from looking at this from an outsider point of view.
Mm-hmm.
The most that I've ever gotten into Dungeons and Dragons is I just finished the audiobooks of Dragonlance Chronicles.
Those are fantastic.
Oh,
now, one of my questions is: did the books come first, or did the game come first?
The game.
The game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the book came from the game.
I was a very young child when they started.
So
Dragonlance was a setting, was a world built for people to play in. Yeah.
This is my observation: is that there is storytelling on both ends.
Right.
So we have to start with a story. Somebody has to come up with the world, the whole concept and everything like that. And then they pitch the ball, basically, to the consumers, and the consumers run with it. So there's two sets of storytelling going into this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So collective story.
That's what's fascinating about it is that you use dice to create statistics for this character and how he interacts with the world that you're creating. And then the person who's the dungeon master or whoever creates the world for all this interaction to take place in. And then from there, the dungeon master can come up with this idea and go, okay, I'm going to push the characters off in this direction.
Well, not only the
They
dungeon
go the
master,
other
but
way
somebody had to have come up with
every
the
single
whole
time.
D&D concept to begin with.
Well, yeah, that
Mhm.
Gary Gygax, and I'm sorry, the other guy that everybody forgets.
I can't think of his name
He's-
either.
Yeah.
But
I apologize.
unfortunately, he wasn't as self-promoting as Gary Gygax.
Right. He was the Jack Kirby where Gary
Yeah.
Gygax was the Stanley, was the face of it.
Well, it
So
started
he's throwing
out
the football, and you guys are catching it.
Well, so they created the rules.
Dave Arneson.
Thank you. Yes, Dave Arneson.
That's
Yep.
him. Yes.
So
Thank
they
you for
created the
bringing
rules
that up.
for their world. They created how you create a character and the parameters within which you can work. So just like when we're Barb Divinity, you don't have space aliens right now, and you don't have Divinity can't fly, but maybe she can later. I don't know. You created your world, and you created the rules within. Just like any story, it creates its
and
world.
So if I hand
rules.
that off to somebody else, they can run with it.
Yeah. You can say, Divinity is not going to fly. Divinity is not 40 feet tall. Her brother, whatever. You're going to create the rules.
She doesn't have X-ray vision.
Right. So they created the game world rules. And then from there, and as the game has grown, the original books were, these paperback kind of, and they
mostly mimeographed, it seems. The really early stuff was just made out of copy.
A lot of black and white.
Exactly, and some really horrible art. Like some of it's really good, and some of it's just like it's like they asked their 8-year-old cousin, "The crap, I need to draw a kobold."
So describe to me an owlbear.
Right. So they created the world within where all the rules are, but within that, you are free to run with it, and you can. There's nothing that says you
it's
can't
like music,
right?
It's like music, and the fact that you have so many notes to play with, but how many pieces of different music of all different types have been made with just those few notes? Wow, just incredible what you can do if it's something creative like that that has a potential to go in all sorts of directions.
Exactly,
like D&D does.
In D&D, the beauty of once you created your characters, you've established the story world, and you start to guide the characters. You set the setting. You hope your players will stay mostly within the setting, because really when they go way off, sometimes it's annoying, and you do have to rein them in sometimes. But you set the stage. And the characters and the dice will tell you where it goes. And sometimes, frequently you gotta bring it back in. But I played a campaign where one of the characters, one of my buddies, joked to the DM that, you must be space aliens. And so as a DM, he didn't make them aliens, but he gave them like a technological time travel space flight ability, like in that instant, and he went with it. And so he had to play out the rest of the night. Then he had the week to retool his whole game, but he went with it. And it was fun, and it worked out really well.
That's the best game masters can do that.
Yep.
Can take where their players are going and just run with it.
It's so fun.
You got to be on your toes to be a game master or a dungeon master. You really do, because wherever you plan for the characters to go,
they
don't go there.
Right. You have to plan for them to do something stupid, or the dice roll to be either awesome, and
or do something you didn't anticipate.
You wanted them to spend the night fighting. Or, exactly.
You never know what's going to happen.
Fail multiple times.
That's the fun and the joy of it. Yeah.
How long can some of these games last?
Forever.
Well,
I've taken whole weekends on games.
Well,
8 hours, 9 hours at a time.
But Barb, sometimes there are stories out there of friends who have been playing for decades the same, and I don't know if it's the same characters, but in the same world, the same campaign, and it can go on forever. It can it can be as immersive. So I'm running my kids. Do I have it here in front of me? Oh, I thought I did. Through a module, it's a book of pre-written stories called The Ghost of Saltmarsh. and it's all in this seaside
Yeah.
town, and it's really good because I love sea stuff, boats and muck and sea monsters and fog, and but it gives you the characters, it gives you the parameters, it gives you the maps, but then you take it from there. So from the creative side of story creation, which is what we are all trying to do, they have developed a world that then you can build upon. Which what I'm trying to get at here is it can show us if we build a good foundation of a world, of a story world, we can grow our stories with the examples of role-playing games. Right. Meaning, if you want to have a fully developed, if you want to know every street corner and what the butcher's middle name is, you can. And I know we've jokingly talked about the world building and its merits, but that can be the foundation from which you grow your story, and then the character creation. You have the basic statistics. How strong, how fast, how tall, how charismatic, how is this character? So your
premise is that by being a role player enhances your writing abilities.
Yes. Yep. And
I can see that.
It can. And it allows you to think about your world and with the collective side of it. Now, I'm not advocating always you have to have a writing partner, but the collective side of it adds that element of fun or variation that you can keep being creative with. You can allow the feedback, you can allow the give and take, you can allow your characters to take life. And in the D&D world, your buddies are growing their characters, and if you want a really good D&D world, you encourage them. Get your backstory. What is your inspiration? Who do you really just? They give you your enemies that you.
I hate dwarves.
You hate goblins and those sorts of things.
So you get an advantage against them because of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with the rules in place, it forces you to be more clever. With how you go about doing things.
Right.
And you'll get into a pickle, and you got to think your way out of it. You can't always just beat doors down and kill everybody in the room.
And I like that.
And there are some players that's what they that's the way they love to play it. They're just
murder.
They just like going through dungeons and just killing everything and getting all the
dungeon
treasure.
crawls, love it.
And,
love it.
Yeah, and there's that can be fun as well.
Vic's got several things.
Yeah, he's got a whole bunch here. I was just a good storytelling with a give and take and the build and release of pressure in a story. A good campaign, a good adventure should have that. Action, slow it down, give it a moment to breathe. Some action, the ups and downs. So Vic's got lots of. Sorry, Vic. He started with fifth edition. Vic, we know you're just the fifth edition is awesome. It really is. Fifth edition
really is.
I've trimmed up some rules.
Touched it.
You'd like it, Rob.
You would.
I probably. That's what everyone tells me. But
it's very streamlined.
I invested money in all these 3.5 books. So, I still got to get some use out of those.
The biggest one that fifth edition gave was advantage and disadvantage. Rather than trying to figure out how difficult something was, it really made it. If you don't have advantage, you lose your bonuses, and you have to roll twice, and you take the lower. Or advantage, you roll twice and take the higher. It's nice. It really simplifies like something really hard.
Interesting. That in AD&D, the DM had the power over all of that.
Right.
You were the whim of fate, making sure whether stuff worked or not. You'd have them roll.
Vic, the
original, but you had the final say.
Exactly. Well, you still do, but this adds a little. Vic's saying that the early days, people were scared about. They didn't know what people were doing with Dungeons and Dragons. And I remember the movie that Tom Hanks. Didn't help it.
Oh gosh, Monsters and something.
Yeah. Like I said, I create stupid stuff. Dragonborn Bard. Yeah. So that is up to the dungeon master, the game master, creating characters. I have a player character. She wanted to be a druid, but she wanted her lower half to be like a satyr, but with horse legs, like druid, a druid halfling
with pony legs.
with pony legs, and fine. So I had to be clever, and I said, well, then you're going to be a disadvantage when you have to stealth because you have hooves, and any terrain that would be difficult for a horse, like rocks or cobblestone.
Into pony play.
Well, that's it. That's going to be difficult terrain for you. So fine, you got your horse hooves. Yep, and then speaking of Divinity books, which we were talking about half an hour ago,
they're shipped.
They're shipped.
I want mine.
No, yeah.
I had a show 2 days ago, and I was like, oh, I wish I had the books.
I tell Roland, hang on to my stack of stuff till I see ya, and then he's like, here you go. So I get all my books at once, save them on shipping. Everybody pitches in for okay. We don't do that. We don't. No, we do not endorse. Let's see, and
trade secrets.
Then the guy who owned my what do I know what that is? Am I missing
LCS?
LCS.
Actually wrote
local comic shop.
Thank you. Before, wow, that's cool. And Vic's got his demon started out as a tabletop art.
Tabletop role-playing game.
Cool. And then Vic, yes, you type a lot. We're happy you're here. So there are many things about the character side and the creation of that go into that can translate into your storytelling, the basics. The one thing, now this is me, this is the one thing that I feel that is missing from Dungeons and Dragons is the interconnectivity that could help build your world, like round out your world for the characters. Most of Rob, Roberta, anybody, most of the stories, you have your group of characters. It's night one of role playing. Where do they all meet?
Tavern.
Generally, it's a tavern. Yeah.
That's where every
or they're sneaking around somewhere.
All the good stories start at the bar.
And they all.
That's where Dragonlance started. That's where Dragonlance
started. They go up to the tavern.
So did Witcher, I think.
Last Lonely Home. No, that's Elrond. What's the tavern in the tree in Dragonlance?
Yes.
So you're right. So but Barb in the Dragonlance novels, they all knew each other, right? So they had an interconnectivity, which is missing a lot in D&D or most role-playing games because there's no emotional connection between your player characters. So often you'll have somebody they want to get all the gold, or they want to kill all and it used to be that they didn't divide up experience points equally as much, and so the element of connectedness, working together, is missing unless your dungeon master creates that and wants.
I think your dungeon master can affect that quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah. But in the character creation side, unless you are telling your characters how they're connected, they aren't. But you can. There's nothing that says you can't. You make the world. You can say you're all siblings.
So there's no magnificent quest with your band of brothers.
You are just a disconnected group of adventurers who meet up most of the time. Now, but what I'm getting at, and I have my mixed feelings about Hill Folk, because I've tried to play through it, and I can't quite get it. I can't quite get how the game works because there's not a lot of dice. There's not a lot of rolling. It's just kind of like, okay,
what do they do?
Now, but it's supposed to have what they call the drama system that allows more role playing. It's mostly role playing. But the takeaway I wanted from this is what it does is when you create your characters, each character needs to have what's that? You have to have. I don't know if you can read it. It's hard to see. It's showing all these arrows going back and forth here of an interconnectedness. There's a give and take. So they put daughter, protege, unrequited love, brothers, battle partners. These two are married. So you have to have a connection, brothers, lovers, something like that. And then what the relationship is like, and then what they want from each other character. if they have that relationship. So they put things like approval, acceptance, forgiveness, respect, love, subservience, reassurance. So as you play, it wants you to play out the giver, the receiver, the what's the other word? The when you want the recipient, when you want something from somebody and they have that power to give it to you. And it could be love, acceptance, approval. That plays into the role playing, and that I think helps round out the characters a little more. Just like in a story, when you are trying to create three-dimensional characters, what does the hero want from his dad or his wife, or why there's more motivation? Why does he want lots of money? It's because his best friend is a rich lawyer and he wants to show up his best friend, or his best friend stole his girlfriend from high school.
Brent says he wants a fourth dimension.
That's so in the
if you don't let him in, he's going to leave. You know that.
Who's that?
Brent.
Oh, Brent's here. Oh, hi, Brent.
Brent Z. Larson.
See, he's off my screen. I'm sorry, everybody. Hi, Brent. Brent,
You may remember Brent from
you play
such
Dungeons
films
and
as
Dragons?
Not even a little.
But you're familiar.
I'm familiar with it. Yes,
Okay.
it is a game.
So what kind of
involving,
character would you be?
things that have numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
See,
So you're
now
like
this is
me. I'm the dumb audience asking questions.
So-
like, what is this? Yeah. So you
what
ask
we-
your questions.
As the creative types, which a lot of us are in this group right here, the role playing side is what I think was what draws me in. And then as the dungeon master, the storytelling and world creation and story building is what I love. Yes, the numbers, Brent, can get tedious, but they shouldn't. And 5th edition really, really helped trim that down. It streamlined. You didn't have to know 2 hit armor class 0, THAC0. You have to roll. You want a low armor class, so when you roll high, you subtract. They don't do that anymore.
If you're 3/4 hidden,
and a good dungeon master will use the dice at the right time, but a lot of times the storytelling and then rolling to see, is it high, low? You get a number in your head, and they have to beat that number, or more often it's just written in. But what I wanted to, so Brent, you can chime in. What we're getting at and what I'm trying to talk about is connecting the story building world of something like a role playing game and the collective side of building that world, letting your characters grow, create depth, and so forth. Brent, I think you would be, you'd be a pretty good paladin, but you'd be a snarky, irreverent paladin.
yeah.
I have no idea what you're referring to.
See, Rob seems like he'd be a pretty good wizard,
I was gonna
sorcerer.
Yeah, we're going.
Wizard, I like playing bards.
But okay,
Ooh,
all right,
Yeah,
yes.
bards are
Yep.
fun.
Rory,
They're hard for DMs to handle, but
Yeah.
bards are fun to play.
Rory, let's see, angry dwarf with a hammer.
I was gonna say he's got the whole beard thing going.
Or
on.
pirate.
He's a
Pirate.
I have to talk with a Scottish accent.
Rogue pirate.
Yeah.
Roberta, I
There's
don't
a
know,
game
you're
for that.
quiet. You.
Oh, I'm so quiet.
I think maybe the
I
rogue.
like to be
Ranger.
elf.
Sneak.
like
An
to
elven
be an
ranger. Elven
Elven
ranger
Ranger.
in the back with the arrows and Barb. Barb's another one. She got her pithy remarks.
I think she'd be a cleric,
Barb would
I was
be
just gonna say, we need a
good,
healer.
a good ranger as well.
a druid.
Oh,
I think she'd
yes.
be
druid. There
Cleric
you
and
go.
healer.
I'm all over
Yeah.
that.
A druid
Druid.
cleric. Yeah,
Use the
definitely.
plants, walks with the
Multifaceted.
animals, talks with the animals, chats with a
Like a Disney princess.
in chimpanzee. So
You can't
what
say
I
that
brought
about
up
my
was what hill folk, and I'm sure there are other elements. Hill folk helps, I think, round out the character creation side of Dungeons and Dragons. That is heavy on the numbers.
It emphasizes the dramatic side
Yes.
rather than the mathematical
Yes.
side. Mathematics is most in D&D really should be just to resolve combat.
Yep.
That's really all it should be. And if you're trying to disarm a trap or find a door or something like that, it's good for that sort of thing.
I thought you said
But
disarm
the
a
role
giraffe.
playing is about the role playing should be the major thing. It's what really
drives it.
goes on. The numbers are secondary. Really, that's just a resolve thing.
Yep. And good dungeon masters will realize exactly what you just said. Let the game play, let it flow, let people do their thing. I played with some really not so great DMs who want you to roll every time you walk up the stairs, and you fail.
I like doing that too, but it's usually to go, roll. You just out of the blue say, roll a saving throw.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
what? Yeah, when I'm going to open the door and you go.
And they go, they go, what happened?
What are you doing?
Well, nothing. Nothing.
Everything's a mimic.
Yep.
That's bad too.
A haunted house where everything's a mimic.
I like to not give out meta knowledge, and it annoys my players because how many hit points does it have left? They say, well, what does it have? A bar above its head? You don't know.
This is where that came from. In modern video games, health bars came from D&D.
Exactly.
Bleeding. It's bleeding profusely.
Hey,
I just say it's bleeding pretty bad.
He looks rough. Yeah, his arm's off.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
I've had worse.
So the storytelling aspect is critical, and what's great about it too, and what I really encourage players when I play too, is don't say my character does this or the bard does this or no I say I and role play it. Role play.
Talk in a funny accent.
Yeah, get into the game. You know what? Accents for the DM. I'll do all my accents are either Cockney or pirate. And they all turn into pirate, and then I forget what all my characters sound like, so I can't do it. I can't do because I forget. Did he talk like an Irishman or a Russian, or like a?
Well, you make notes.
Right?
Come on.
Oh, jeez.
The other one is when your player characters ask, "Well, what's your name?" And it's an inconsequential character in the bar, like
Bob,
Jerry. I have no idea.
Jerry, Jerry Blue Jeans. Now you're their favorite.
That's why you have little lists. And you go, hang on just a second.
Just
roll. You go, oh,
that's why the
Jerry.
Yeah.
That's why the Dungeon Masters book has like a whole bunch of random names in a chart.
Like charts like that.
So
you don't have to worry about stuff like that. Thank goodness. But you make a little list and you just have it with you.
Yeah.
I have my players fill out little cards with all their stats on them,
so
that when we get into the combat, I put them in, order, so that you're
do the same thing.
This monster fights first, then this character, so I put them in a stack, so that you go through the combat, you get back to the top, and you start again. So
Scott and I do it the same way,
and you have little notes. You have little notes on each of those for their characteristics, whether they have an accent or things like that for your monsters or your
I don't know
NPCs.
if you put a DM screen up, but what I do is I take a 3x5 card, I write their name on the other side of it, fold it, and so when we get into it, a battle. So those of you out there who don't know what we're talking about, initiative is how quickly you respond to the stimuli of being attacked, usually. And so
it's based on whether someone sees someone coming or, there's other modifiers, but
so you're getting to jump on someone.
Right. I put all so they can see their name in order, and I have their stats on the other side for me to see.
That's an interesting concept. I may have to adopt that. That's pretty cool.
I have to do it my right to the left. So it's left to right for them, but it works out really well. So they know they're coming up. So because always the magic users are always trying to get their spells ready. And then none of it ever works for magic users. So Vic's saying, where do they meet? This is way back. Or a jail cell. That's always a good spot. Yeah. And it's going to run a campaign of grown-up.
I've got a module that's where they meet, is in a jail cell.
Grown-up orphans. When do you stop being an orphan? Did they ask that in a series of unfortunate events, the Lemony Snicket books? Villains and Vigilantes, game of choice. I know that's tough. That's a good one. It's tough when everybody loves D&D to try. That's why, like when I try to get people to play Hillfolk, you're pulling people away.
It's so different.
Play that
I played Champions. which
Yeah.
is the
Bards.
it's still, I think it's still around. Was mostly with 6-sided die.
Oh
I think
yeah,
is how that
yep.
was played. And yeah, I actually did some work for them too. I did some
wow.
illustration work for them, so I got a few books
So
to play with. But
That's cool.
yeah, that's very D&D-ish. Yeah, but
I
it's
actually use a
superhero.
bard as a villain.
as you should, as you should. Bard Brethren, yes. The movie, if you guys watched any of the trailers, Chris Pine is a bard in the new movie coming out at the end of the month. And I don't know if anybody saw the clip, most recent clip with Hugh Grant. And he's setting up this maze game. Mm-hmm. And in the background is an homage to the 80s cartoon with the crew from that cartoon, which is pretty not great cartoon from the 80s. One season, it's fun to watch. It's very much a kid's show from the 80s. But they throw that homage in there. And I do want to see it. This looks like a good movie because it's not just a medieval fantasy movie called Dungeons and Dragons. They actually, it looks like they kind of joke about
the spells,
like the spells and the
so
actual
funny.
Rules of the game, and they've got owl bears and displacer beasts, and the black dragon spits acid, and so it looks like the
dead part was hilarious.
Yes, yeah. There's a scene where he says I can only ask him 5 questions. I mean, it's just like the rules, and then he goes back to being dead, and so they make jokes about the rules. And then Vic's still saying roll. yeah. People roll
saving throw to see if you remember how to walk.
And then if you have enough blood in your legs, like I'm going to take a drink. Well, roll. No. And I like this suggestion. Let Rob run a weekly game for us.
Yes, I do like this.
That might be fun. It might be fun.
That actually could be fun. Yes,
that would be amazing.
How long will it take?
I am wicked busy.
Right.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah,
do
I
it
know.
on a
When
basis.
getting everybody to show up here.
Doing this has been my weekly thing.
And that's Tommy. Hey, Tommy. Sorry.
If you want, we could just start doing the game here and let everybody watch. You know, if you want to do that.
Tommy's a barbarian.
Our new Wednesday show. We'll roll up a character for everybody. Tommy. Yep. Superheroes. Villains, vigilantes, right?
Villains, vigilantes, champions. There was another one I can't think of it right off the top of my head. There was the Marvel superheroes game. There was the DC role-playing game. There,
Yeah, and the dungeon master. Yeah, he's a weird little guy. We don't quite know what he was. He talks in riddles. Yeah,
dungeon masters are evil.
Yeah, he talks in riddles the whole time. That cartoon is weird. If you haven't watched it, folks, go watch the Dungeons and Dragons 80s cartoon. It's pretty great. And then Tommy, villains, vigilantes.
Terrible.
Heroes World. That's the one I was trying to think of.
Greatly terrible, terribly great. You know what I mean?
So bad it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I punish myself with animated Lord of the Rings like 3 times yearly. So I mean, and I've watched all the Star Trek movies so many times. I punish myself with Star Trek 1 and 3 and 5 and 8 and
1 is not so bad, really.
I love 1.
Okay,
it's
tough
just
to get
not.
through.
It's not the TV show. That's what you got to remember when you're watching it. It's not.
It's tough to get through. You're right. I'm sorry. You have to be dedicated. 5 is rough. Search for Spock is rough. And I just rewatched 4 with the whales. They spend like 0 time doing Star Trek stuff. I get it. It's fun. It's like time travel. It's fun. But
there's a lot of in jokes as well. Yeah. When they're running around, when Chekhov says, "Where are the nuclear vessels? Where's the nuclear vessels?"
Yes.
I'm going, oh, okay.
And he's Russian, and it's
correct
the
change
80s, and no
when
one
they're coming back off the bus.
Right.
That's all they can come up with.
He says
how many
give him
episodes
$100
of
for his
D&D cartoon are there?
Not a lot.
Which
usually
is
a
shorter,
season of animated is like 13 episodes.
Star Trek 1.
What's that?
Which one takes less time, watching the first Star Trek movie or watching all the D&D cartoon episodes?
Oh, I think there's more time to dedicate for D&D cartoons.
So you want me?
The movie shorter.
D&D cartoon,
yes,
but you can't get through Star Trek.
Oh, I can, and I have multiple times. I'm just saying. So
Okay, no, I'm just trying to understand.
And have you seen the director's cut rather than the original?
yes, I have.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a little better.
It makes a little more. Still doesn't make sense why Scotty carries his nephew past sickbay up to the bridge. Why does he do that?
For dramatic
Because
effect.
it was in
It's
because it
obvious.
was in the script. Yeah, that's
Scotty,
the
you walk
dumbest scene
past
in that movie.
sickbay.
Yeah.
Well, and
To
he
show us.
has a thick accent. The computer didn't understand.
Right? Yeah.
Couldn't- yeah, he couldn't see the
The
elevator.
bridge.
Computer.
Star
It's like
Trek.
Siri.
Siri.
Oh, it's a sick
How
bay.
quaint.
Hello, computer.
Computer.
I'm going to tell you the same thing that I constantly tell Dick every night when we're watching TV, and he goes, "Why did they do that?"
Yeah.
Or "This doesn't make any sense." And I keep saying, "Dick, it's TV."
TV. It's just. But I.
But MacGyver's
I
accurate.
turn to my family and go, "It's in the script."
In the script, right? Because somebody wrote it,
wrote
and the
it
actor
that way.
goes, "Oh,
I'm getting paid for this, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get paid whether or not. Yeah, I am of two. I can have two minds. I can enjoy the show for the most part, unless
Yeah.
it's just awful. But I do enjoy nitpicking, and my mom and my sister don't enjoy my nitpicking. So of course I ramp up the nitpicking to 11, and it drives her
You're my
crazy.
Good
family.
brother, a good
Therefore
son.
You will suffer.
And I drive my kids crazy when we get a new movie, especially if it's a Star Trek or
Oh, yeah.
something like that.
Yep.
We don't when I put it in the machine, I don't go to the movie. I go to the stuff, the behind the scenes
Yeah,
stuff
the
first.
features, yeah.
And they
Special
go,
features.
"Dad, stop! We just want to watch the movie." And I'm going,
Yeah.
"I've seen the movie.
I
I want to see
Yeah.
this stuff."
I want to see
I want to watch
commentary.
it with the commentary on. Yeah,
I want to know how the sausage was made.
exactly.
right.
I'll never
Exactly.
be
I
that.
do.
Stuff like Star Trek 1 was shipped. The film was shipped wet. It was still curing on the way to the theater. Star Trek 5, they were supposed to have industrial light and magic for their special effects, and they did. Anyways, we're talking role playing games. I'm so sorry. We got lots of semi-monthly. Vic says for our night. I don't know.
D&D.
This is not a bad idea. I'm going to chew on
Not
this.
a bad
And I think
idea. Tim
it's an
TK
Ultra
would
Force
get in on that.
cartoon. The D&D was. It's not great, but I love it. Yeah. It's not great, but it's lovable. And then Champions V&V Heroes with a sprinkle of the Marvel RPG to get a system we liked. Okay, Tom, I'm not sure how we kept track.
You know, that's called that homegrown. You know,
Yep.
that's
Homebrew.
a homegrown system. And if that's what you want to play it.
Yep. Vic's asking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG. That's a lot of letters smashed together. If you do a
I didn't know
TMNTTRPG
they had
MMO
Backslash.
BRBB BBQ BYOB. I'm not.
I know.
I'm
I'll
not
like
good.
BYOB. Yeah, I'll be right
Yeah,
there.
there you go.
Well,
Bring your
Barb,
own book.
grown-ups
There we
now.
go.
We're not down in our parents'
Parents'
basements.
basement?
I'm
I'm in my parents' basement.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yes, and a pro tip for all of you players: bribes for the dungeon master are always
work.
recommended. Always
Yeah.
recommended. Tommy says generic universal role playing system GURPS
GURPS.
was
I had a
fun.
friend was into GURPS. I never played it.
GURPS in mind. I'm keeping GURPS in mind. Yeah, and I'll keep. Yeah, Dark Horse had the pewter. Ooh, Dark Horse had pewter figures for it. Cool. Yeah, I like the miniatures. It's just that I don't have anywhere to keep them. I can't. I
I
don't
do
buy
actually
them.
have a
Box.
couple of miniature role playing figurines.
Yeah. So
I got
folks, we are getting down to the last 10 minutes of our show. The point of this was to talk about collective storytelling that comes from role playing games
And we did.
like
We
Dungeons
did.
and Dragons. And
But as usual,
we certainly did. And,
Yeah.
and,
We
and
also
I
the
would-
wales.
We also got off the
Of
rails.
course we did.
wait, did you say Save the Whales like Star Trek 4 or Off the
Yes.
Rails? Which
Save the way.
Which, by the way, had no real whales. Oh,
Yeah, they were all CGI or yeah.
practical effects. Practical.
We haven't thrown James Bond in yet, but there we go. I'll mention James Bond.
Well, we
and,
GoldenEye earlier.
Star Wars. Rob did say Star Wars. Yeah. Oh yeah, we did. We talked about GoldenEye, the video game. You missed that, Brent. The
Yes, GoldenEye. Yeah.
the 2023 Hall of Fame video game Hall of Fame is out for the Strong Museum of Play up in Rochester. I've been there. It's half an hour from my house, and I love it. So for those of you out there, for those of you watching and listening, creating your story world can come from you can learn the skill from role playing games like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
It
good for
gives you-
storytelling.
Yep, it gives you the story world. to work from. And
if you play with a bunch of different other players, you get insight into how other people's think about their characters, what the
It also gives you a
things
lesson
you
in
wouldn't think
collaboration.
of about the character who would come out in another player. So
Exactly.
you can see that, you
extremely
can see those
dynamic.
sorts of things as well. Yeah.
Big corporations even use it as a team building exercise.
Yep.
Really?
We
Yeah,
have
they hire dungeon masters to come in and like do a 5-hour session with people to make them. This is how you problem solve on the fly.
Wow, what a great idea!
I want to work there.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah.
You
Get
know,
paid to
and so
run
role playing games they have come out of the parents' basement shadows. They and there's been lots and lots of studies too. We're 6 group of people are a little odd. We like to be create our stories. We
house,
like to
we're
go to
weird and proud of it.
Yeah, you go to conventions. We're all kind of oddballs,
Let
and
your
everybody's
freak
an
flag
oddball.
fly.
Yes, everybody's an oddball in their own way. But
FREE, big letters, free. Fly.
This gives us an opportunity to do the goofy storytelling, be somebody else, but also people that are even a little strange in their own way. There's been lots of studies, and medically, and I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to speak about people, but people that whose brains work a little different than everybody else's. There's been studies about them freeing themselves up, feeling comfortable, and talking and being around people and socializing and so forth. And it's a completely different world. So it's an opportunity.
PTSD
you get to be another person.
You get to be another person. Yeah.
You can get outside of who you are. If you have a low self-worth, you can create a character that's got high self-worth, and you can learn from that. You learn how to become a less insecure person. Yeah. So there's tons of good that comes out of these RPGs and so forth, and hanging out with your buddies. The other thing, this is my soapbox too. I like creating characters. There are lots of apps and there's lots of electronic help, which is great for keeping track of stuff. I really like creating characters on paper because frequently my players, they'll say, "Oh, I hit him for 58 points of damage," and I'll say, "How the heck?" Or my armor class is 38. How?
You're level 2.
I don't know. I just put it in and it's there. They don't know how it gets there, but they also grab their background, grab their motivation, and I like them to write it down just to create your character. If you want to use an app to keep track of all your equipment and stats and so forth, I think it's useful. And I have not looked into it because I can't commit the brain power, but it looks like Wizards of the Coast in D&D is adding a huge digital element to their playing, and I don't know beyond that what it is. I've heard some grumbling.
Are they taking over Roll20?
Grumbling. I don't know. Tommy, thank you for rounding out our bingo, our show bingo.
Nicholas Cage.
Batman reference. Vic's saying the interconnectivity between characters that teams lack. Yeah, I thank you. I would encourage folks, if you are role playing, to add a connectivity so your buddies at the table mean more to you.
Yeah. Make them all siblings. So when they argue, it's totally normal.
Yeah, and then you can take that to your story creation, your story world, and the first Young Blood issue government sponsored superpower Murrow. Yeah, okay. My soapbox.
Professional wrestling in a comic.
We can get. Next Steam Pages. I'll be there. I'll be on a soapbox yelling about creating your characters on paper.
Speaking of, what's the Nations and Cannons? Did you slow down again? Nations and Cannons is also a 5e.
Oh yes. So there's a cool. Go check it out, and I think they're going to be kickstarting. Yeah, it's Nations and Cannons. Is a 5th edition Rev War role playing game, and I didn't reach out to them in time, but I'd love to have them to promote their game sometime. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Very cool.
We're the clock is ticking. I have talked way too much as usual. I want to allow in the final moments, Brent, Roberta, Barb.
Words of wisdom.
What do you got? anything. I mean, what you're watching on TV, what you're reading. no, we got like 3 minutes.
no,
Mark,
no,
not yet.
Oh my God, it's too
No, not
wide.
yet. Not yet.
Updates
Mine's
on
ready,
the
but
business
not
side
yet.
of things from Silverline. Of course, we've gotten word that things are shipping. We're fulfilling those. If you're waiting, we appreciate that. We try to get everything out as fast as possible.
We have an upcoming Kickstarter in April.
Keep your calendars handy. Mark your calendars. In less than a month, you might want to go over to steampatriots.us and see a countdown clock. Steampatriots.us and see a countdown clock, or check
Sorry,
out
what was that again? I didn't get
steampatriots.us. And
What's
if
on
you
there
haven't
again?
liked, followed, shared,
The
all
countdown
those
clock.
things on all the Silverline social media, do that. We need you guys. We need our fans to tell all of their buddies, all their friends, and their enemies about Silverline,
Especially.
because without
Yep.
you guys, we got nothing. We're just making our own comics and reading them ourselves. We want you to read our books, and we want to keep growing as a comic book publisher and tell the great stories and get them out there. And we've been talking storytelling tonight, crafting stories in a collective manner, creating our worlds. 1 hour goes by so quickly. And Rob, maybe we'll convince you to do.
How much would it cost
Yeah.
For what?
to get you to DM?
To
Every
DM,
other
that'd be
month.
fun. Oh man.
Well, it's going to have. It would be a while from now, because from now and through April, I am just. I'm booked. I'm either driving a bus for the local college, or I'm going to a convention, or that's on top of drawing illustrations for books, assembling books, doing Boston Bombers, doing stuff for Silverline every once in a while. I mean, I am
Maybe in the
underwater at the
Yeah.
moment,
Well,
so that would be so
downtime
much
is one
fun.
of
I
those-
would like to do it, but let's put that on the back burner for
That-
now, and we'll
the
talk
amount of
about
commitment-
it more.
Yeah.
That might be fun.
That would
That
be fun.
could be a lot of fun.
And
I
Brent,
have a module I want to run from Pathfinder Path
okay.
that I would love to run.
Okay.
And
Brent-
if I can tell everybody what it is, and we can get you information on characters.
You are
filter
missing
building
out,
for that
Mr.
and all that
Larson.
stuff.
Am I?
You
are.
are. You would be
Yeah.
perfect. You would be
You would be.
perfect for the Dungeons and Dragons world. Don't get hung up on the numbers. You do your
Yeah.
character. You plug the numbers in.
It's once you get
Then
it,
you
it's easy.
play it, and
The numbers
you
are only to resolve combat and certain situations. The rest of it is character.
You
the
are
character
already a
that you're
character,
playing.
Brent. So
Yeah.
you'd be.
You can just play yourself and just
find some
carry a
D&D
sword.
friends. Look
Yeah.
for the game night at the library. Go to the game store. Actually, the comic book shop too is a place to ask
Right.
to check with your buddies and or look for buddies. Vic, we love having you here. Books are coming Friday for you, I guess. So and then you're only technically retired. And Rob, thanks for the advice.
Yeah, Vic was wanting some had asked for some advice and some so I photocopied a bunch of stuff from books that I have here in my studio and did a little drawing of some stuff to give him to push him in the right direction. He's a young man just starting to try and do comics on his
I
own.
work on my face,
and we've
too,
all
by the way.
been there. So so having somebody go, okay, you're doing well here, but here's what you need to work on.
Awesome.
It's
That's great
very
job.
handy. So hang in there, Vic. Just keep at it. It's keep practicing. Practice.
Next, another topic for a show might be we might have to go switch from story crafting to art, and I would love to talk about that. But you know what? It's 9:02 on the East Coast here, everybody. This has been a fantastic discussion, mostly a monologue from me.
Yay.
It's been fascinating.
Brent,
What a passion
Roberta,
you have.
Rory,
Yeah.
Barb, Rob, everybody out there, go like, share, and everything Silverline, and we're going to wrap up. We always say before we go, make mine Silverline, and I'm going to
Silverline.
search it up because I keep clicking away from the stream end. Good night, everybody.
I'm April Hunter. Make mine Silverline.
All right.